Oh, fantastic, Jenna. Thank you so much for scheduling to speak with me tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for doing the interview as well. Yeah, so you have a new album coming out through Profound War Records on, hopefully I'm getting the date right, August 18th with
August 18th. Exactly right. Yes,
with
absolutely.
yeah, with your band God Theorem or geez, Godthrymm. Am I saying that correct?
You are saying it absolutely right, and it's totally understandable if you trip up over the name a bit because yes, it is a bit of a funny name. It's a funny word. It's kind of symptomatic of one of the main conditions of when we were starting this band and trying to come up with a name. It was, we wanted something that was, direct, ideally a one-word name, but had not been used before. And that becomes very hard now after so many years of our, glorious music and there's so many names out there. There's so many names that are amazing that I would love to have had, but no, it's slim pickings these days. So the option is either come up with a band name that's a few words or almost a sentence, or make something up. So, obviously we went for the latter. But yeah, we get called, you know, Godthrym, God Rhythm, or variations around it. But yes, Godthrym, you're exactly right.
Okay, good. Yeah, so your new album that is coming out is titled Distortions, and it is the second album in your trilogy, which the first one was released in 2020 called Reflections, and then there's another one that's coming out called Projections. So let's start with talking about the the meaning behind the why you wanted to do a trilogy like this.
So it wasn't the original plan to do it. When we came up with the title Reflections, it was for the album we'd done at that point, which just happened to be the album that we'd made, which was very much reconnecting to our musical past and like a celebration of music that we'd done in the past and also the scene as a whole. And it was a loving kind of tribute to the musical past. And then now in the present right now, we wanted to take that template, expand upon it, change it around a bit, and just really evolve that sound. And the name Distortions suited so very well because we were messing around with that sound and template, and it's also then got the added parallel with the distorted guitar sound, which is at the core of our very sound as well. And then I just kind of realized that okay, Reflections, looking to the past, Distortions is what we're doing right now. So where do we go in the future? Also want to look towards the future as well. And so feeling very inspired with what we're doing and really invigorated about the music and what we're doing, then just thinking, okay, yeah, projections, let's see where we can move forward in the future. What else can we bring into this as well? And so it started already, collating some ideas and having a bit of a talk about where we can go next. So it's very much having kind of one foot in the past, one foot in the present, and stepping towards the future as well. So 3
Okay.
feet maybe.
Okay. Yeah, and what's really, really cool about Distortions is you brought in Catherine as like a full-time band member, and her vocals are absolutely just beautiful and haunting, like just throughout the album. So, and I know she was a guest on Reflections as well. So what was it that like sparked everything to have her in the band full time?
So having had the guest vocals initially, and she just raised the game so much with just adding that ethereal beauty to things. Then we did a handful of shows after the album release and had her joining us live to do that. And it really just pointed out how essential that extra dimension was. And so we did the single Vastness Silent, which had her in there again. And then when we started writing for this album, it was just obvious that this was just such, an important part of the sound moving forward, because not only was she bringing in such, the beautiful vocal that she does as well, it made me want to expand upon my own vocal range and do better as well, and put more effort and more into the clean vocals and the harmonies as well. And so it's very much inspired what I was going to do myself as a vocalist, because it's still fairly new to me, even though I've been playing in bands for like 30 years at this point. Um, it's always primarily been as a guitarist, and did backing vocals in the past, but now in this band, found myself in this lead vocalist position and very much kind of finding my voice a bit. And on reflections, there's a few different tones and approaches to the vocals, but by having her in and just realizing that, okay, we can really open up the harmonic content of the vocals like I would typically want to do with guitars in the past, made me want to do more. And so yeah, she just really made my approach to the music so much more expansive. And so it was absolutely necessary that she came in kind of full time. And then bringing in the keyboards as well, because then she's not singing all the time, and it was Bob's suggestion really to say, well, how about we bring some keyboards into the band to add extra dimension as well. And so I'm just so pleased that right now we've got this fully realized core of the band as well. And our focus is on doing as much as we kind of can do with our sonic template. And so we brought Al in as second guitarist as well for the live shows to better represent this live as well. It's great. He actually, appears on one song on the album as well. So yeah, we're very enthused, very much excited about the album and what we can do next with it.
Like you have the closing track, Pictures Remains. Like that one is just, it's it's so melodic and like so beautiful, and you have all the different dynamics to it. So when all of you were like creating the song and throwing the ideas back and forth, just getting the creativity out, like what was the what was it like just to create something like that? Because there's such a just it's powerful to listen to, and it's also like a 12-minute long song as well, which is cool.
It was very exciting because circumstance had meant that we weren't writing the album in a rehearsal room like what we'd done previously. It wasn't just in a rehearsal room setting, loud amps, and just jamming out ideas as a band. We're having to write separately. So I would start writing a song musically from the guitar upwards, and then would be giving it to the others to see how they would then want to expand upon it. And with Pictures Remain, um, the main core of the song musically was written quite linear. It was real start to finish. It seemed to have a very natural to me progression of how the song would go musically, and then giving that to Catherine and just giving her the words as well, because she would claim that she's not experienced in writing songs, but it's like, okay, here's musical backing, here's some words. What would you do? What would you do? Go for it, and just showing how to do multi-tracking recording, and next time check again, finding that, oh god, we've got multi-part harmonies, and she's just really gone to town with it. So it was like, wow, this is pretty special. So yeah, wow, amazing. So when it came to actually being in the studio and then having the full sound and the full realized, drums and bass and all the backing, and then there's layers of beautiful vocals over the top. Um, it was amazing because I could kind of sit back almost and appreciate a lot more from a listener's perspective, where so much of the album, because I've written so much of it, I'm a little, so very invested in all of it. I could really appreciate that. Wow, this is someone's work that I just think is really, really quite amazing. So it's just great. It's such a collaborative effort. Love the band, and and I just so looking forward to hear people's reactions. Really.
Okay. Yeah, and so I read in the press release that it a lot of the album is about grief and loss and it's like heavy subjects like that. So my question is like, if you were to stand back and listen to the album as a fan, not necessarily a band member, like what would be some of the songs that you feel would help you the most through like the grief, the depression, the heartache, the loss, etc.?
So I think there's the couple of songs like Echoes and Pictures Remain that are very much in the kind of eye of the storm of grief, really. Echoes itself, for instance, the lyrical content of that song is pretty much taken directly from the eulogy that I'd written and said at my friend Martin Hall's funeral. And at the time when I was asked by his family to speak at the funeral, and wrote the words that I did for the loss of our very dear friend, just the way I'd kind of written them were almost lyrical in some kind of ways, just because it was me putting my feelings you know to pen and paper, to words. So when I'd written this song that was very much in kind of tribute to him, looking to the lyrics, just going back to that eulogy, it just fit very natural. It really did. So that's very direct. Pictures Remain as well as very much, again, direct response. But there's also on the flip side a song, As Titans, for instance, as well, which has then got a theme that comes in a couple of times, and which is very much, surviving through, grief and the trials and tribulations we come across. It's, you know, looking back at a kind of a patchwork of scars, really, and just working through it. It's looking back at that. Yeah, worked through this. There's been bumps in the road getting through it, and we're very fortunate in that music and our style of music is a great vehicle to kind of express these kind of emotions and feelings. It's very cathartic, and that's then the progress. It's like, yes, got to acknowledge the heartache and sorrow, but we need to live through it. We've got to look forward to the future as well, and in doing so, then hence scars from battle, pain from love, and it's, you know, reflecting upon that, and celebration of survivorship.
Okay. That's an amazing answer, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and now to get to, like, some of the musical aspects of it,
Mm.
like, even in Pictures Remains, like, there's a guitar solo that's kinda rock and roll and bluesy, and there's a couple more throughout the album as well. So, I gotta ask, like, who were you listening to that may have inspired some of these riffs or some of these guitar solos for this album specifically?
Oh, wow. So uh, I think we could divide them up. Absolutely, great question. Because guitar solos wise, incredibly inspired by, like, Paul Kossoff from Free. If you're familiar with Free, the British blues rock band, Paul Kossoff was an incredibly soulful guitarist who would just be able to weep through his guitar, and just these very, soulful and mournful solos, and that always appealed to me greatly. And I love guitar playing that evokes that same kind of feeling as well. I've always, loved and admired Jay Mascis, Dinosaur Jr., and his, you know playing and stuff as well, which I think has a similar kind of feel, where I kind of feel some of, the emotion he's getting through of it, where it's like, yeah, things are hard, things are sad, but we're just, working through it, and I think that's just great. So, um, and of course, I've got to give great, respect to Greg McIntosh from Paradise Lost as well, who is just, an absolute master of, mournful lead guitar playing. Um, Riffs wise, I'm just always very, very much into the, building of, very layered guitars, and ever since, when I was younger, and hearing, Metallica doing "To Live Is to Die," for instance, the midsection where it breaks down into the clean guitar, and then there's the, these multi-layered guitars doing the guitar swells. It's very orchestral, and then it comes in with huge crushing chords underneath, and multi-layered, guitar harmonies over the top, and that stuck with me so much. It inspired so much of then what I want to kind of go on and do. And then hearing, bands like Paradise Lost and Candlemass doing this very, evocative, slow, heavy, mournful, and melodic music, and that's just where I've just kind of wanted my own creativity to sit as well, and at the same time bring in influence through here, there, and everywhere, really. And so I think, well, at least what I certainly hope that what I'm doing is, something that's, kind of pure, genuine, exclusive from myself, but very much reflective of, these great influences as well. And I hope to do some justice to some of that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, are you a Tom G. Warrior fan at all?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it
I
some of
mean,
the riffs, like, just those heavy, those doomy riffs, just like, yeah, that
oh,
reminds me of him.
oh, completely. I mean, Tom G, what, absolute master, and so influential. I mean, Celtic Frost as a whole, as well. And I think Matt and Eric Kane, it's, some credit in there too as well, because I just think they were so ambitious in their kind of scope, and not wanting to be, kind of limited by restrictions of a genre, and they were, beautiful and vital and kind of also ugly and just wonderful. So yeah, Celtic Frost just incredible. They just really made the point of tearing up any rule books and yeah, bring in some classical influence. Yes, we'll bring in even at times some slightly electronic things. It's like wow, God, you know they really you know pushed the boat out. So yeah, Celtic Frost. Wow.
Definitely. Triptychon too. Like,
Mm.
and
Oh, completely. I mean, when I heard that first album, and then the whole last song, just this whole 20-minute tirade of just punishing, darkness. Just like, wow, amazing.
I know. They're so amazing. Got to see them live with 1349 back in, wow, 2010. It's been a while. It just, my mind was just so blown.
Incredible. I mean, I loved watching just after the Monotheist album, and then when I was in My Dying Bride at the time, and we were fortunate enough to be sharing the bill at a few shows, so I could see them a few times over, and that was amazing. And then been fortunate enough to see Triptychon afterwards as well. With I've not seen him for a little bit. I think that the last time was probably Maryland Death Fest. So that was just amazing.
They are. I wish they would come back to the US and do a full tour. I know you're in the UK. Hopefully they do another tour out there too.
Yes.
But the album art for Distortions, oh my gosh.
Let, let me check. And oh yeah, it's yeah, definitely says Distortions down there. Yeah.
Yeah, that also has a Celtic Frost vibe to it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And Andy Green, who did the artwork, yeah, he did be, you know, able to join writing with absolute love of Celtic Frost as well. Andy Green, he is just, such a passionate and artistic individual. Been, fortunate to be, friends with for, over a couple of decades now, and his passion for music is amazing, and his art is incredible. So um, it just seems a very natural thing for him to channel his love of music and interpretation of music through art as well. We were fortunate to get the Chasms video that he did as well as this artwork that is done for us, and it's incredible. He's you know massive part of this phase of what we're doing right now,
Yeah,
and a very dear friend.
yeah, it's such a it almost looks like it was made of clay with the heads fused together. Like, how do you feel that he was able to embody everything that Distortions is all about just with that image?
So we spoke quite a bit beforehand, and he was talking about the idea of having a representation of some kind of inner turmoil as well, like what would have reflected in the song, like kind of devils as well. So um, he'd had this idea of the a multi-face kind of sculpture, and and it sounded amazing as he was talking about it. He was very clear. He had a very definite idea, and then he put so much work into it as well. The actual 3D sculpture that he's made, if there was to be like a real life rendering, it would be the size of a room. Basically, it's a gigantic piece of work, and it's why it's so amazing to see it on the gatefold vinyl artwork. Seeing it in print and at that kind of size, it just looks incredible. It's an amazing piece of work. You definitely need to look at getting like a large scale print of it done, which definitely will do.
Yeah, it's really it's so cool. It's very dark, but yet it's just striking at the same time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need something that would, be hoping would be, kind of eye catching, and simultaneously you want something that kind of striking, eye catching, but also at the same time very much representative of what we're wanting to do within the album as well. And I think he's done an amazing job.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you kind of mentioned this uh, in your previous answer about you being in My Dying Bride, and you've also been in Vallenfyre
Mm.
as well. So my question is, between these three bands, like with creating the music and everything, like, and I know they're all like very melodic still. How how would you say that the feelings and emotions like differed from each band?
Well, so My Dying Bride, it was I was very fortunate to come into a band who'd done an amazing body of work already. I'd loved what they'd been doing before, absolutely amazing, and so coming into that band, I was simultaneously wanting to be respectful of their past and their work, but also wanting to bring in some ideas and bring in our own music into the band as well. And it was great to be given that opportunity as well. But it was always knowing that it's still very much I had to kind of be respectful and in keeping with the My Dying Bride legacy, which was you know very important. And I think we did some great work together. We wrote some great songs together, and I'm so proud of all that time. And then Vallenfyre started off as a kind of a vehicle for um, you know Greg's grief about the loss of his father. And so that first album was, really quite, entirely done by him. So it was just him wanting to have, um, you know, friends who would, come and be a part of that with him. And as time then went on, we did a few shows, and then went on to do another album. I brought a couple of things into the band musically. So I've got some riffs on like the kind of second and third albums, but it was ultimately Greg's project, Greg's baby. Um, I only kind of, but I loved playing live with that band. I loved throwing solos here, there, and everywhere live, and really enjoying that. But I really needed to then have a phase where like got quite a bit of a singular vision of what I need to do. Well, when this band started off, it was at first a reconnection with the love of the music that I'd done in the past, and the stuff that I really appreciate as well. And at first we weren't sure what we were doing with it. I had a couple of friends in the band, and we were each throwing ideas in, but it became very clear quite quickly that myself and Sean really wanted to turn this into a very clear and singular vision of what we wanted to do. And so moving forward, especially into this album, then yeah, the bulk of the music is written by myself, and it's got wonderful contribution from the amazing musicians that I'm very fortunate to have in the band as well. But it's very much the vision what I want to do musically. And so there's an ownership and a real personal investment in it that can kind of only really come with steering your own ship, really. So it's kind of funny. On one hand, it's like, oh yeah, a bit nervous about how people take to it, um, but I'm very very proud of what we've done.
Yeah, it's a beautiful album. Distortions is amazing. Gotta say that it's kind of like a
Um,
dark lullaby in a way.
wow, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, well, those are all of my questions, unless there's anything else you want to get out to the world about distortions.
Well, just thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about it. As I say, it's means a lot personally in terms of music and also lyrical content as well. So, if anyone out there has ever been, interested by music with, a melancholic content driven by just a need to kind of, create something, then, we're not looking to, be looking to sell lots of records or we're not driven by financial gain. This is absolutely driven by our own, kind of personal desires to create something that's special to us, and we're fortunate to be able to share it with people, and I hope people may give it a chance.
Cool. Well, thank you, Hamish, so much for taking the time to do this interview. It's been really fun.
Jenna, thank you so much.
You have a wonderful rest of the night over in the UK.
Thank you so much. All the best.
All right, bye.
Thank you.